Capricorn, there's a reason you found this message. And no, it wasn't random. It wasn't by chance. It wasn't just the algorithm. It was alignment. Because somewhere deep in your spirit, you've known for a long time that something was meant for you. Something big. Something sacred. But it kept being delayed. Postponed. Paused. Hidden behind doors that refused to open. And for years, you carried that knowing like a secret. While the world around you moved on. While others received what you silently prayed for. While life handed out blessings like confetti, except yours was nowhere to be found. But here's the truth no one ever told you. It wasn't missing. It was maturing. There is a blessing with your name written on it. It has not been lost. It has not been denied. It has not been forgotten. It has been protected. And now, the air around you is beginning to shift. There's a frequency moving toward you like a long-awaited letter through the winds of time, stamped, sealed, and destined to find only you. And you feel it, don't you? That ache in your chest you can't explain. That restless whisper at 3 a.m. That quiet moment when something tells you, get ready. You may think you're just imagining it. But Capricorn, you're not. You're not crazy. You're not being over-hopeful. You're not mistaken. You're being prepared. Because what's coming next isn't ordinary. It's not a bonus check. It's not a lucky break. It's the thing you've waited your whole adult life for. And no one told you why it was taking this long. Until now. In the next few moments, I'm going to tell you the real reason why this blessing has been delayed. Why it was never meant to arrive until you became the person strong enough to carry it. You're about to understand why every night you cried, every door that closed, every sacrifice that no one saw, was not the end of your story, but the prelude to the most profound turning point of your life. And when we're done here, you won't just be inspired, you'll be ready. Because this time, what's coming is not just going to change your life, it's going to change who you are. So stay with me, Capricorn, and don't blink. Because everything you've been waiting for is already on its way, and it's closer than you think. Part 1, the long wait that shaped you. Capricorn, let's begin with something most people never understood about you. Your silence was never weakness. It was strategy. It was protection. It was survival. You see, while others broadcasted their pain for attention, you carried yours with dignity. You didn't ask for applause. You didn't beg for sympathy. You simply kept going. Even when no one asked how you were. Even when you gave and gave only to be forgotten the moment you fell. And this is where your story begins. Not in your success, but in the season of waiting. The long, drawn-out years when nothing made sense. When you planted seeds and watched everyone else's garden bloom but yours. When you showed up with everything you had, and the world answered you with silence. This is the season most people skip over when they tell success stories. But not you. Because this is where the blessing actually began. You see, Capricorn, your life was never about fast wins. It was about slow mastery. The kind of mastery that builds through struggle, through silence, through every door that said no. Let me tell you a true story. There was once a Capricorn man who worked in the same job for 11 years. Not because he loved it, but because he had people to feed. He clocked in every morning at 6 a.m., rain or snow, without ever once being late. He trained younger employees who later became his bosses. He stayed late, worked weekends, cleaned up other people's messes, and never once asked for a raise. People thought he lacked ambition. They were wrong. He wasn't lacking ambition. He was building endurance. And one day, the company sold to a larger firm. And while many were let go, the new leadership discovered something. The only reason the place still functioned was him. That same man, overlooked for a decade, was offered a leadership position, stock options, a salary 5 times his original pay. And you know what he said? I knew this day would come. I just didn't know when. That's a Capricorn truth. Because no other sign knows how to outlast time like you do. And here's what I want you to understand. That long wait didn't break you. It built you. It built character in you that success alone never could. It taught you how to walk through rooms with grace when no one clapped. It taught you how to hold faith even when the world whispered, "You're wasting your time." And now, that time is no longer being wasted. It was being invested. Because Capricorn, the blessing that's coming was never meant for the version of you from 5 years ago. It's coming for the version of you now. The one forged through pressure, refined through fire, and strengthened by years when no one noticed how much you were carrying. Life lesson: why Capricorn must wait longer than most. You were born under Saturn's rule, the planet of time, structure, and karmic law. You're not here to take shortcuts. You're here to build legacies. And legacies require seasons of delay that feel like punishment. But in truth, they are blueprints. Your wait was not a mistake. It was a preparation. So if you're still wondering why you had to wait this long, remember this. You weren't being left behind. You were being sculpted into someone worthy of what's finally arriving. And Capricorn, that moment, it starts now. Part 2, the spiritual currency of endurance. Capricorn, let's speak the truth. No one tells high-functioning souls like you. You paid a price. But not in dollars. Not in gold. You paid in something far more valuable. Time. Sleep. Tears. Dignity. Patience. While others asked the universe to deliver something easy, you were making silent trades. You gave up vacations to work overtime. You turned down temporary pleasure to build something permanent. You smiled at family gatherings while your bank account screamed. You pushed forward when every logical part of you said, "Just give up." And through it all, you stayed quiet. You didn't post about it. You didn't make others feel guilty for not noticing. You just carried the weight like a soul who knew, my reward doesn't come from them. The truth is, Capricorn, most people never saw how much you invested. They didn't see the night you skipped dinner so your child could eat. They didn't hear the conversation you had with your bank account, trying to move numbers around. They didn't know you were building a dream while battling depression. They didn't see the courage it took to wake up on Monday, again. But heaven did. And heaven doesn't forget. Because in the divine economy, there is a currency far more sacred than money. It's called endurance. And Capricorn, your soul is rich in it. Let me tell you a story from the stars. In ancient astrology, Capricorn ruled the 10th house, the realm of public honor, legacy, and worldly elevation. But what most people forget is that this house also comes with the steepest climb. Capricorn is represented by the sea goat, a creature that begins in the depth of the ocean but climbs all the way to the mountaintop. This symbol was never chosen by accident. It means, you were designed to handle deep emotional pressure and still rise. You weren't meant to live an easy life. You were meant to live a meaningful one. So yes, the climb has been brutal. But the air at the top, it's clearer than anything you've ever breathed. Here's what I need you to know. This blessing that's arriving, this life-changing release, it's not charity. It's compensation. It's a divine exchange. For every moment you helped someone else succeed while no one noticed you. For every time you clapped for someone else's win while hiding your own loss. For the years you stretched pennies just to keep a dream alive. This is heaven saying, you didn't fold when it got hard. You didn't quit when it got quiet. You didn't run when it got heavy. So now, watch what I do with your endurance. Life lesson: endurance is the seed that wealth grows from. Capricorn, the world tells you to chase fast success. But Saturn teaches you something more ancient. Real success is grown through suffering that didn't break you. You don't just get wealth. You become someone who can handle it. And that's what endurance has done for you. So the next time you feel like the world has moved faster than you, remember this. You didn't just survive the waiting. You invested in your future, soul first. And now, the return is on its way. Part 3, why it was delayed, the Saturn Code. Capricorn, now we arrive at the question that has haunted you for years. Why did it take so long? Why, with all your effort, integrity, and intention, did the reward stay just out of reach? Let me answer you with one word. Saturn. Your ruling planet. The one the ancients feared and revered. In astrology, Saturn is not a planet of denial. It is the planet of delay, discipline, and divine order. It governs contracts, responsibility, karma, and time itself. And when Saturn rules you, as it does with Capricorn, your life is not rushed. It's refined. Let's look deeper. Saturn doesn't hand you blessings the moment you ask for them. Instead, it asks, can you hold this without breaking? Can you stay faithful even when no one claps? Can you protect something valuable without showing it off to the world? Because here's Saturn's truth. If I gave it to you too early, you would have lost it. If I gave it to you when your soul was still bleeding, you would have used it to prove a point, not live your purpose. That's not punishment. That's protection. Let me show you what I mean. Think back to 5 years ago. If the financial breakthrough, the recognition, the elevation had come then, would you have trusted the wrong people? Would you have blown through it trying to impress those who never cared? Would your anxiety have sabotaged what your ambition attracted? Be honest with yourself. Because Saturn doesn't care how loud your prayers are. It watches your alignment. And Capricorn, the alignment is finally here. In ancient myth, Saturn was known as Kronos, the keeper of time. He moved slowly, but he never missed an appointment. He knew that some blessings must ripen, like fruit in its season. Too early, and they're bitter. Too late, and they rot. But in perfect timing, they nourish the soul. And that's exactly what's happening now. Your life may have looked stuck 4 years, but underneath, your patience was maturing, your discernment was sharpening, your resilience was being forged. You weren't being punished, you were being equipped. Because the size of the blessing requires a version of you that couldn't have existed without the struggle. Life lesson: the blessing needs a container strong enough to hold it. Capricorn, you don't receive blessings. You hold them. You build with them. You multiply them. That's why Saturn waited. It wasn't testing your faith, it was strengthening your character. Because this next chapter of your life isn't just about what you'll receive, it's about what you'll sustain. So trust this timing. Even if it came later than you wanted, it's arriving in the only moment it ever could. Right on time. Part 4, The Whispers Before It Arrives. Capricorn. Before the breakthrough comes, the world doesn't shout. It whispers. Not because the blessing is unsure, but because it wants to know, are you paying attention? Because just before something big enters your life, life gets strangely quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but that charged, electric stillness like the moment just before a thunderstorm breaks. And if you've been feeling that lately, you're not imagining it. Capricorn, you are highly attuned to energy, though you rarely admit it. You sense things shifting before others see them. You feel the pressure in the room change. You hear the silence behind someone's words. And now, that spiritual radar of yours is activating. Let me tell you what that means. The blessing that's coming isn't falling out of the sky unannounced. It's already walking toward you. And as it approaches, it sends out subtle signals. A strange dream that feels more like a memory than fiction. An unexpected person from your past reaching out after years. A delay being lifted for no clear reason. A sudden desire to clean, rearrange, or pack without knowing why. Moments of déjà vu, intense emotion, or restlessness without cause. A pull toward a specific date, place, or decision that you can't explain. These are not coincidences. They are divine notifications. You are being told, prepare the soil, rain is coming. Let me tell you a story. A Capricorn woman I once worked with had been unemployed for 14 months. She had applied for 143 jobs. No callbacks. But one night, she had a dream. She was standing on a stage, being handed a golden envelope. She woke up in tears, not out of fear, but certainty. The next morning, she got a call from a job she had applied to 11 months earlier. They had lost her application, but something made them search through old files. That something was timing. She didn't just get the job. She got a position 2 levels above what she applied for. And it paid more than she had ever made in her life. Capricorn, sometimes heaven moves in files, delays, algorithms, and old conversations. But when the time is right, nothing will stand in its way. Here's what I want you to do in this moment. Pay attention to the whispers, not to the drama, the noise, or the distractions, but to the soft things, the subtle things, the things your spirit leans toward without knowing why. That's where the blessing sends its signal. Life lesson: most people miss the miracle because they expect thunder. Capricorn, you've learned to be strong in storms. But can you be still in silence? Because the biggest changes don't always come with fireworks. They come in whispers. The call you almost didn't answer. The invitation you almost declined. The decision you almost ignored. The gut feeling you nearly dismissed. This is the season to trust your inner voice more than the outside noise. Because what's coming next doesn't need to shout. It already knows where it's going. And it's heading straight to you. Part 5. What this blessing actually is. Capricorn, let's get something straight right now. This blessing that's approaching you, it's not just about money. Yes, the money will come. Yes, the opportunities will be real. And yes, the increase will be undeniable. But what's truly arriving? Restoration. This isn't just a payment. It's recompense. It's not a lucky break. It's divine justice. It's the closing of old chapters written in blood, sweat, and silence. It's the reward for every yes you gave when your body wanted to say no. It's heaven saying, I saw what they did. I heard what they didn't say. And I never forgot you. Let me be clear. This blessing is not meant to make you rich. It's meant to make you whole. It will speak to the parts of your story that were never acknowledged. The rejection you brushed off but secretly cried about. The betrayal you forgave but never forgot. The moments you were the strongest in the room when you were the one breaking inside. This blessing will wrap its arms around those moments and say, now, let's make peace with all of it. You see, Capricorn, you didn't just lose time. You lost yourself at times. You lost sleep. You lost trust. You even lost faith in life. And yet, you kept moving. You kept showing up. You kept believing that there was something more. Now that more is arriving. Not just in the form of income, but in peace of mind, inner confidence, freedom from survival mode, clarity about who you are and who you're not, and the deep inner knowing, I didn't go through all of that for nothing. Let me share something personal. I once spoke to a Capricorn woman who had been in an emotionally abusive marriage for 17 years. She finally left, with nothing but a suitcase and her dignity. For 2 years, she rebuilt from scratch. No one offered help. Some even blamed her for quitting. She took a minimum wage job and studied online at night. Every single day, she told herself, this won't be the end of my story. Today, she owns a wellness company. She speaks at conferences. She recently bought her first home, cash. When I asked her what the biggest shift was, she didn't say money. She said this: it's not the house. It's not the company. It's that I look in the mirror now, and I don't see a woman in survival anymore. I see me. That, Capricorn, is the real blessing. Life lesson: when the blessing heals what was silenced. You don't just want wealth. You want recognition. You want freedom. You want your story to be honored, not erased. And that's what this blessing will do. It won't just put something in your hands. It will repair what was lost in your heart. So don't just prepare your bank account. Prepare your soul. Because what's arriving will feel like you've finally come home to yourself. Part 6. The enemies that grew silent. Capricorn, one of the strangest things about your blessing, it will make people go quiet. Not everyone, but certain people. The ones who never thought you'd rise. The ones who smiled to your face, but quietly celebrated every time you fell. You see, when you were struggling, you were convenient. You were easy to ignore. You didn't threaten anyone's ego. But now, that energy is shifting, and they can feel it. Before the money arrives, before the opportunity knocks, before the moment shifts in your favor, the atmosphere around you changes. And the people who once surrounded you so tightly, they start to fade. Not because you've done something wrong, but because your light is getting brighter. And some people cannot survive in full illumination. Let's go deeper. You've had people in your life who loved you more as the underdog than the leader. People who rooted for you as long as you stayed beneath them. People who offered fake support with invisible strings attached. They applauded your efforts so long as you didn't outgrow them. And now that your moment is coming, they feel the shift, and it scares them. Because when Capricorn rises, it is permanent. It is built on discipline, integrity, and quiet power. And those who built their identity around your struggle, they no longer know where they fit. Let me tell you a story. A Capricorn man I once knew worked in a warehouse for over a decade. He was always kind, always consistent, always reliable. He helped everyone. He trained new staff. He fixed machines after hours without asking for extra pay. But one day, the company changed hands, and the new CEO promoted him to manager over the very people he had once reported to. Some were happy for him, but a few, they began whispering, accusations, rumors, undermining his authority. You see, it wasn't his leadership they hated. It was his elevation. Because some people loved him more when he was struggling. Capricorn, as your blessing arrives, here's what you need to remember. Not everyone can come with you. Some people were only assigned to your wilderness, not your promised land. And that's okay. You're not here to convince anyone to stay. You're here to follow the path that was carved for you and you alone. Life lesson: the higher you rise, the quieter it gets. Capricorn, success reveals more than failure ever will. It reveals who really saw you as family, and who only saw you as useful. It reveals who supported you, and who only supported your struggle. So as the silence grows, don't fear it. Because that silence, it's making room for better conversations. For people who clap with no jealousy. For rooms that speak your name with respect. Let the old fall away. Let the fake stay silent. Your energy has shifted, and the blessing doesn't need applause to be real. Part 7. When the blessing feels like a battle. Capricorn, what if I told you the hardest days often come right before the blessing? What if the exhaustion you're feeling right now, the tension, the unexpected chaos, the strange resistance, isn't a sign that things are falling apart, but that they're about to break wide open? Here's a spiritual truth few people talk about. The enemy fights loudest when heaven is quietest, because something sacred is near. And the days when everything feels wrong, when you wake up with heaviness for no reason. When people start acting out of character. When old wounds resurface just when you thought they'd healed. Those are often the days when the breakthrough is closest. But you don't feel excitement. You feel pressure. You feel like quitting. Why? Because blessings birth tension before they arrive. Think of it like this. When a seed pushes through the soil, the ground must crack. When a child is born, the pain intensifies before the delivery. When a storm clears, the wind howls the loudest just before the calm. And your life, Capricorn, is in that exact phase. The cracking, the stretching, the trembling. Not because you're being broken, but because something is being born. Let me tell you a story. A Capricorn woman I knew was offered a promotion after 5 years of feeling invisible. But 2 weeks before the offer arrived, her life turned upside down. Her car broke down. Her landlord raised the rent. Her best friend stopped returning her calls. And her health began to deteriorate. She thought the universe was punishing her. But in truth, it was clearing space. 2 weeks later, she was offered a position in another city. Double the pay, a signing bonus, and full relocation support. Had those disruptions not happened, she would have stayed stuck. Capricorn, what you're feeling right now may not be confusion. It may be contraction before expansion. It may be the tension of your old life being peeled away, so your new one has room to breathe. And the hardest thing to do in that space is not to run, because you've been trained by life to respond to stress with action, fixing, overthinking. But this moment asks something more powerful: stillness. To trust that what's falling apart is only clearing space for what's coming together. Life lesson: when the blessing arrives disguised as chaos. Capricorn, here's what most people never realize. Sometimes, the battle before the blessing is there too. Test your readiness. Strengthen your awareness. Remove what can't go with you into the next season. So don't let the pressure convince you to stop. Let it remind you that you're near the finish line. Because pressure isn't the enemy. It's often the sign that you're finally at the door. And it's already beginning to open. Part 8. Who you'll become after it arrives. Capricorn. Most people focus on getting the blessing. But very few prepare for what happens after it comes. They think receiving the reward is the end of the journey. But for you, it's the beginning of a deeper transformation. Because when this blessing arrives, you will not be the same person anymore. Let's get one thing clear. Money doesn't just change your bank account. It changes the way people treat you. It changes your schedule. It changes your choices. And most importantly, it changes what gets exposed in your spirit. When life finally says yes to you after years of hearing not yet, you don't just rise, you shift. And you'll begin to see with new eyes who really celebrated you and who only tolerated you, which dreams were truly yours and which were given to you by survival, which relationships were built on truth and which were built on need. Capricorn, here's the sacred irony. The moment you get what you always wanted, you'll realize what you actually needed was something deeper. Because success will stretch you. It will force you to choose between pleasing people and protecting peace. It will bring new invitations and new temptations. It will bring praise and hidden jealousy. You will have to make decisions not just from logic, but from alignment. Let me share a story. A Capricorn man I knew launched his business after being laid off. He had nothing but a laptop, a couch to sleep on, and a list of ideas. For 3 years, he worked in silence. No support. No recognition. Just relentless focus. And then, almost overnight, his business went viral. He started earning more in 1 week than he used to in 6 months. But here's what he told me. The success came faster than I expected, but it revealed who I wasn't ready to be. He had to learn how to say no without guilt, how to slow down without fear, how to lead without needing validation. He realized success isn't something you wear like a medal. It's something you hold, manage, protect like a sacred fire. Capricorn, the blessing is coming. But so is the responsibility, the expansion, the elevation. And the version of you that's rising, that's the one the world's been waiting for. Not the tired version who just survived. Not the quiet warrior who carried everyone's burdens. But the whole you. With boundaries. With spiritual clarity. With a deeper sense of purpose. With a wisdom that no school could have taught, only life. Life lesson: success doesn't just reward you, it redefines you. This blessing is not here to make you comfortable. It's here to evolve you. To awaken a voice inside you that's been silent too long. To give you the platform, the power, and the clarity to move differently. So prepare your heart, Capricorn. Not just for what you'll receive, but for who you'll become once it arrives. Part 9. How to keep what was sent for you. Capricorn. Receiving a blessing is one thing. But keeping it, that's a different mastery altogether. And no one understands the weight of responsibility like you do. Because you've seen it. How people pray for miracles but aren't ready for what those miracles require. They ask for more, but forget, more blessings come with more boundaries. More money, it reveals hidden intentions. More opportunity, it attracts silent competition. More visibility, it invites unseen energy, opinions, and expectations. So this part of your journey, Capricorn, it's not just about stepping into your blessing. It's about protecting it. Let's be real. Not everyone who claps for you now is safe for your future. Not everyone who says, "I'm proud of you," means it from a clean heart. Some will want access. Some will want credit. Some will want to ride the wave you built through storms they never saw. And your job is to protect what heaven placed in your hands without guilt. Here's what you must remember. This blessing is not a lottery ticket. It's a divine assignment. You didn't receive it just to enjoy it. You received it to build with it, to multiply it, to use it with wisdom, discernment, and long-term vision. And that means learning to say no with peace, creating space in your calendar for stillness, releasing old versions of yourself who only knew struggle, refusing to shrink so others feel comfortable. Because Capricorn, the you who survived, can't be the only one leading the life that's now thriving. Let me share a lesson from someone I coached. A Capricorn woman inherited a significant sum after her grandmother passed. It was the first time in her life she didn't feel panic when checking her bank account. But instead of peace, she felt anxiety. Family started asking for help, money, cosigns, favors. Old friends returned with sudden ideas for joint ventures. And even strangers sensed something had changed in her. One day, in the quiet of her home, she broke down. She told me, "I thought getting this blessing would give me freedom. But now I feel more trapped than ever." That's when I reminded her, a blessing that costs your peace isn't being used correctly. Capricorn, here's the wisdom. Your blessing is not just a gift. It's a trust. And trust requires discernment, boundaries, clarity of values, and the courage to say, "No, I won't jeopardize what I've been trusted with." Life lesson: you protect what heaven entrusted you to steward. Capricorn, you don't need to explain your standards. You don't need to apologize for your wisdom. You don't need to overextend yourself to prove you're still humble. The blessing will speak for itself. Your job is to keep your heart clean, your energy clear, and your vision focused on what truly matters. Because heaven didn't send this to you to lose it to pressure, noise, or false loyalty. So walk with strength. You're not just a receiver. You are now a guardian. Part 10. The restoration is the real reward. Capricorn, this blessing you're stepping into, it's not just about money. It's not just about success. It's not even about proving the doubters wrong. It's about restoration. Because what you truly needed was not just a breakthrough. You needed a return of everything you thought you'd lost forever. You see, the greatest wounds Capricorn carries aren't visible. They aren't about empty bank accounts or missed promotions. They're about the years that felt wasted, the loyalty that wasn't returned, the silent battles no one ever acknowledged, the faith you held while everyone else laughed, the nights you begged for a sign and got silence instead. This blessing is heaven's way of whispering, "I saw it all. I remembered every moment. And I have come to return what was always yours." But not as a duplicate of what you lost, as something greater. Capricorn, let's speak plainly. You didn't just want money. You wanted dignity. You wanted to feel like your sacrifices mattered. You wanted to know that all the seeds you planted in faith didn't die in the soil. And now they're breaking through. And you'll see. The harvest always comes, just never in the season you expect. Let me share a closing story. A Capricorn man spent 12 years building a non-profit to help at-risk youth. He poured his savings into it, took on odd jobs to fund it. He was told no by every major donor. He almost quit. But in year 13, someone forwarded his mission video to the CEO of a global foundation. They not only funded him, they gave him a 10-year grant and put him on the global stage. When asked how he kept going all those years, he said, "Because I wasn't doing this for attention. I was doing this to heal what I never had as a child. I didn't need applause, I needed peace. And now I have it." That's what's coming for you, Capricorn. The moment you realize you're not behind, you were being prepared. The moment your tears stop meaning sorrow and start meaning release. The moment you can breathe again and not brace for the next battle. The moment your name is honored in places where it was once erased. And most importantly, the moment you no longer question, "Will it ever happen for me?" Because now you know, it is happening. It was always meant to. And it's finally here. Life lesson: restoration is heaven's way of making every scar beautiful. This blessing is not just wealth. It's not just opportunity. It's restoration. Of your time. Of your energy. Of your name. of your soul. It's the divine message that nothing you went through was wasted, and that the future you are walking into will be proof that heaven keeps receipts. Conclusion: the shift has already begun, and the call to rise with it. Capricorn, now take a breath. Let it fill your lungs. Let it sink into your spirit. Because whether you feel it or not, the shift has already begun. No, this isn't just another spiritual message. This is a divine timestamp, a reminder from the realm of timing and truth. You are no longer where you were, and you will never be that version of yourself again. What's coming to you? It was never lost. It was never cancelled. It was simply waiting for the day you would finally believe. I am ready. Not perfect. Not without fear. But ready in spirit. Ready to hold what your past self only dreamed about. Capricorn, the world is going to shift around you in quiet, profound ways. Conversations will feel different. Opportunities will find you with less effort. The anxiety you once wore like armor will start to fall away. The silence will no longer feel like punishment, but power. The path ahead won't be clear, but it will be yours. And in the stillness of it all, you will hear something you've waited years to feel. Peace. Not the peace of external calm, but the peace that comes from knowing everything I've been through mattered. Everything I lost shaped me, and everything I waited for is finally arriving. Final life lesson: this isn't the end. It's the first chapter of the life you were meant to live. Capricorn, you weren't born for mediocrity. You weren't created for fleeting rewards. You weren't designed to be everyone's savior while ignoring your own soul. You were born for legacy, for depth, for leadership rooted in integrity and resilience. This blessing is not your prize. It's your platform. The next season won't just elevate you, it will activate you. So walk through the door when it opens. Even if your hands are still trembling, even if your past is still whispering, because the future, it's calling your name. Call to action. Your journey continues with us. If this message felt like it was written for your soul, that's because it was. We've walked this path with you, Capricorn, and we'll continue to walk it together. Subscribe to Zodiac Secrets Revealed now, because your next season will ask even more of your faith, your power, and your clarity. And you will rise to meet it. Before you go, leave this in the comments so the universe hears you clearly. I am no longer waiting. I am receiving what was always mine. Let your words be a declaration. Let them echo in the space between fear and fulfillment. Because from this moment forward, Capricorn, nothing will ever be the same again.